adventure.
Tonight's exciting story by Ron Evans is called Arctic Treasure.
Many years to tell the story. 50 to be precise. Yet, after all this time, I still doubt if anybody will believe me. It happened in the summer of 1920, when I had just graduated. Being in need of money because of the recent death of my parents, I decided to pander to my spirit of adventure before settling down to my chosen profession. I joined a Norwegian whaler, and during the trip into the Arctic was quickly promoted to a deckhand on one of the small whale chasers, which in those days was little more than a small tugboat in appearance, and crewed by 6 men. We went as far north as Baffin Bay, harpooning whales and flagging them for the mothership to collect later. It was a bad season, though, and as the time came close to our return, it was decided to add to the trip's profits by catching a few seals. From the whaling grounds, we sailed into Hudson Bay and north into Fox Basin, a wilderness of ice floes and towering bergs.
Aye, catching seals is not a job for a squeamish man, Tim. Shoot them, don't you? Only the adult ones. The pups have got to be clubbed.
No need to pull a face, Tim. You'll get used to it. Why not shoot them? What's the difference?
It spoils the fur.
Yeah, the least damaged fur brings the highest price. And, of course, the pup's furs brings in the best price. Cruel. Oh, one sharp blow from the club kills them outright. And then we skin them on the spot. Rather not have to do it myself, though. Well, since you're the junior on board, you'll probably be detailed to look after the ship anyway.
I've been seal catching now for 10 years. And it still makes my blood run cold. It's their attitude, the look in their eyes when you lift the club. Helpless yet trusting.
Well, it's got to be done, Snorri.
Yeah. So the fancy women can have their fashionable coats.
We get a good bonus from it, don't forget.
I can live without it. Whales are okay. I don't have to look into their eyes.
What's that? Are we stopping? No. Now we're getting in among the icebergs. It becomes a long, tedious routine of slow ahead and full ahead. Keeps whoever's on the wheel on his toes, especially at night. What's so special about the night? The searchlight on the bow? We keep at half speed all the time, then, in spite of the light. It gives a man a chance to maneuver.
Remember, for every ton of berg above the surface, there's 10 tons below.
That's right. So one that's low in the water is difficult to spot with the light. But it could sink us if we hit it at full speed. Yes, I see that. I'll be glad when the trip's finished. I can't say I'm a born sailor.
Yeah, I remember how many times you get seasickness after we leave Glasgow.
It took 4 days for my stomach to settle down. Still, I've had my fill of so-called adventure. This is my last trip, anyway.
Brief. What's happening?
Relax, boy. It'll be happening all the time. We must have hit a small underwater ice flow. Nothing to worry about. I thought it was going to come through the bottom.
No, these chasers are built strong.
It's nearly 4. Time I got ready to relieve Tom Brewer on the wheel. You're lucky, Tim. Only got the cooking to worry about.
I think I'll get some sleep, Freddy. I'm on at midnight, the worst darn watch. Tim, you don't call me for dinner, huh?
You seasick, Snorri?
No, boy. I have to have my wits about me for the hunting tomorrow, and the only way is to get as much sleep as possible.
When dawn broke next morning, I went out on deck. It never every direction lay a white desolation of ice floes, so tightly packed that the clear blue of the water could barely be seen between them. Only one thing stood out. The huge iceberg dead ahead of us. Its peak was at least 50 feet high, and it was a quarter of a mile in width, and the greater portion of this was not more than a few feet above sea level. The skipper reduced speed as we drew close to the berg, and we slowly nosed our way through the pack ice, then hard a port on the wheel. We came alongside a flat stretch of the berg as neatly as we did the mothership.
Fred, Snorri, and Lars jumped over the side of the ice, each armed with a sledgehammer and 2 steel pikes. These were hammered into the ice to hold fast our mooring ropes. We had moored at the point nearest to the steep rise of the berg, and the peak now towered above our tiny ship, only a few yards away. Littering the berg was a huge colony of seals, literally hundreds of them. Most watched with interest, unaware of the fate in store for them.
Get your rifles and clubs from the mate, boys. You, Barton, stay on board and keep a watch on the mooring.
Yes, Skipper.
I hear you've no stomach for this kind of work anyway.
He's got you taped, Tim. More like you told him, didn't you? No, all right. I'll admit it. I'd have hated to see you being given the killing work while I have to look after the mooring.
For that, I suppose I should be thankful. But why I should have to stand here and watch the ropes is a mystery. They look very secure to me.
You're dead wrong, Tim. Bergs can be very treacherous. They'll split in half, crumble even, on the slightest pretext.
Thanks for the cheerful news. What will you chaps do out there if that happens?
Make a mad dash back here if we can. Oh, there's little risk to the ship, laddie. We're all right, really, so long as we don't get dunked in the water.
And if you do?
A man's life expectancy in that water's less than a minute, I've heard.
Oh, here's the mate, Fred.
You ready, Freddie? Yes. Yes, I was just warning young Tim here of the dangers.
Oh, great. That saves me the job. But what do I do if the berg does start to break up? Into fragments, I mean.
Yeah, well, you see the slope over there?
Yeah?
The main danger lies in a split appearing there and breaking away. The broken part could roll and drag the ship over with it. Now, if that happens, cut the moorings. Don't look so alarmed, kid. It's 1,000,000 to 1, but it's as well to know. Okay?
Yes.
You find a fire axe fore and aft. Go along and put them beside the bollards, just in case. Okay, Freddie, let's go. The skipper, Snorri, and Lars are waiting for us.
I watched them go, rifles slung over their shoulders and long clubs swinging from their hands. They didn't bother with a few seals in sight of the ship. The main colony was on the other side of the berg. I got out the axes and laid them on the deck. I shuddered when the shooting started, the ugly picture of the slaughter in my mind's eye. As the shots echoed out across the stillness of the icy waste, small chunks of ice broke away from the high peak and came down the slope in numerous miniature avalanches. At first it worried me, but I quickly realized it was of little importance and only caused by the sound waves of the shots. Trying to take my morbid thoughts off the slaughter, I studied the white peak, which had obviously once been part of a glacier. I looked at a point a third of the way up. A large chunk of ice dislodged itself and came tumbling down, breaking up into small pieces during its descent. The particles came to rest on more than 50 feet from the ship. When I looked back, there was a dark scar at the point where the ice had broken away. And the more I looked at it, the more intrigued I became. What could be the cause, I wondered. Something up there, I'm sure of it. If I could just get a closer look. Of course, there's the skipper's binoculars. With luck, he'll have left them in the wheelhouse. I'm darn sure he won't have taken them with him.
Here they are. Maybe I'm just imagining it, or it could just be a crevice in the ice. Now, where is it?
Yes. Oh, darn these glasses where each eyepiece has to be focused.
be. How can there be a piece of timber up there? It's too timber at that. Perfectly rounded and neatly cut off at the end that's sticking out. It's almost as though it's the yardarm of another ship. It can't be. How can a ship be in the middle of an iceberg? I was both astonished and very curious. And this made me do a foolish thing. Yes, foolish it may have been, but I'm glad to this day that I did. Putting the binoculars back into the wheelhouse, I then jumped over onto the ice and started up the slope. It rose only gradually at first. But soon the going became harder as it got steeper. Chunks of ice slid from under my feet, but I kept on, my eyes fixed on that piece of wood. Then I had it in my hand, and solid, smooth wood it was. It poked out through a hole in the ice, which is about 2 feet wide. It must be part of a ship. I wonder how big it is. It goes deep inside the berg. There's just enough room for me to squeeze in here. It's like a tunnel. Reflects the light well. What's this? An iron ring around it. This looks like a piece of thick cloth. Better be careful, otherwise I'll... Oh, no! I must be seeing things. It's impossible! I was looking down into an immense cathedral-like cavern of ice. On the floor of this cavern, like the sailor's ship in a bottle, was a complete ship. Not an ordinary ship, but a Viking longship. Hunched, fur-clad figures of men sat at their oars, exactly as they must have frozen to death 1,000 years before. Keels still lined the gunwales, and the remains of a sail hung stiffly down towards them from where I was perched. Everything was still, silent, a little frightening. I glanced around me, but there was no way down. And then stared in awed fascination, wondering what tragedy had befallen these Vikings so long ago, and marveling at the miracle that had preserved them for so long. Look at the man at the steering oar. He's still standing. There's others there, huddled in the middle as though they were trying to keep each other warm. Camera. If only I had a camera. It's almost as bright as daylight in here, bright enough to take photographs anyway. I wonder if any of the others have a camera. Possible.
Father! Now, where is the boy? I want him to help us get these pelts aboard. Tom, where is he?
Gone down below for a minute. Hey, Fred, Snarly, put a bit more effort into it, will you?
We're doing our best. Lost it, boy. He's supposed to be watching the moorings. He'll get a taste of my boot when we get on board. Martin, where are you?
Up here, Skipper.
What are you doing up there? Get yourself down here right now.
Must come up here and see what I found.
Damn cheek of that kid.
Come down here, I say.
Please come and look. I found a complete ship, a Viking ship.
So what? Get down here and lend a hand with these pelts, don't you? What did he say he's found? Some stupid nonsense about a Viking ship. Good, he's coming down.
I have a good mind to fine him for this. Dedication of duty, that's what I call it.
Dereliction of duty, you mean, Skipper?
I'll speak English my way, and you speak it yours.
Okay, you're the boss, Skipper.
You must come up and take a look, Skipper.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so will the bruises be on your backside if you're not careful.
You grab a hold of these pelts here and start pulling, boy. I'll talk to you later about this. Hey, the ice. The ice, it's beginning to crack. Hurry. Let's get these pelts on board. Don't look back, Tim. Just keep pulling. Come on, boys. Not much farther to go.
We pushed, pulled, and heaved at the huge mound of bloodied seal pelts. The ice under our feet shuddered. I looked back up at the peak. It had split almost down the middle like the first cut of the knife in a wedding cake. The nearest portion seemed to waver, balancing. And suddenly it collapsed. A huge wall of ice swung outwards and crumbled into an avalanche, which swept down the slope towards us. We were only a few yards from the ship.
Leave the pelts. Get on board. I don't need telling twice. Come on, Tim.
We dropped our burden and ran for it. We reached the deck in good time and looked back. The avalanche sack heaven was losing its impotence in the gradual slope. It reached the pelts, pushed them forward, and petered out.
Oh, good. It's even done some work for us. Huh?
I don't like the look of the other half of that peak. It's got...
Hey, what's that?
There. You can see it all. It's the Viking ship. It must have been locked in the ice for centuries.
Gee. It ain't very big, is it? Not much bigger than our whale chaser.
It's a miracle. A miracle.
It's a pity we can't go and take a closer look, Tom. What? With the rest of the peak ready to collapse on top of it? You'd have to be crazy.
I know my history, and what's in that ship is worth 1,000,000 times more than those sea pelts.
What do you mean, kid?
Come with me and I'll show you.
What is it? Treasure or something?
No, nothing like that. It's evidence that'll change a myth into a fact. Has anyone got a camera so we can take a picture of it?
The skipper's got one. Hey, you! I think it's safe now for us to get those pelts. Skipper, can young Tim borrow your camera? Camera? No, he can't. Come on, let's get those pelts.
Seems you're out of luck. Forget it, and let's get the job done before that peak collapses.
We hopped over the side and ran across the ice. While the bundle was being dragged clear, I ducked away and ran off towards the Viking ship, which now stood out, clear and stark against the white background of the overhanging peak. I was crazy, I know. My curiosity overcame any fear. I'd actually reached the wooden longship when they missed me. I ignored their shouts and gingerly stepped on board, lost completely in the wonderment of the moment. Close to me, hunched on his rowing bench, sat a fur-clad warrior. His skin was frost-blackened, but otherwise perfectly preserved. It was as though he had died in his sleep, eyes closed and at peace. Lying in the center section was a battle axe, which I picked up. I counted 45 men and 8 women. Then I turned to the huddle group in the center. There were 8 of them, 4 men and 4 women. I gazed at their hooked noses and high cheekbones. At first I thought them to be Eskimos, till I pulled aside their stiff fur cloaks.
Tim, come here, you damn fool. Can you hear me? Oh, never mind him. Let's get these pelts on board.
If that peak collapses, he'll be killed, Skipper.
That's his fault. Come on, Look, Skipper, we can't just leave him up there. Why not? I didn't ask him to go.
Look, there's something up there that fascinates him. I'll go and get him.
No. First we get these pelts on board. Then if you want to commit suicide, you can.
Okay. I'll go along with that.
Right. Now cut the rope, Freddy. That's it. Now throw them over in small bundles. Like this.
I'll go with you, Tom.
No, you won't. You stay here, Freddy. That's an order.
Well, let me go instead of Tom. No. It's my responsibility. Now shut up, Fred, and keep working.
All right. This is the last one, anyway.
Okay if I go now, Skipper?
Isn't okay, but how can I stop you, huh?
No, you can't.
I'll see you later. Hey, Tom! Come back! You can't risk it now. The ice is starting to break up again. I won't be long.
Viking ship, I was oblivious to the danger above my head. The gigantic umbrella of ice shuddered and creaked. I closely examined the bodies and was busy looking over the stores of dried food when I heard Tom shout. He was standing on a ledge of ice, looking over the row of bronze shields at me.
Tim! What the devil do you think you're doing? Get out of there, but quick!
Not yet, Tom. Come and take a look here.
You darn fool, the whole ice cap is about to come down around the ears.
Tom, you must come and look, please. Is there nothing we can do to save it?
Oh, that kid's gone crazy!
Look, do you realize the value of this find? It'll settle a lot of historical arguments, and obviously...
Oh, shut up and get wise to yourself. Are you trying to get us both killed?
We must find a way of saving the ship, Tom. Look at it.
I ain't looking at anything. Are you coming with me, or do I have to carry you?
Float, I wonder? If we could tow it back...
All right, you asked for it. Now maybe you'll do as you're told. He's heavy. The poor kid must have gone off his head. It's as though this old hulk has bewitched him. Better step on it. This berg's gonna fall apart any minute.
Tom Brewer wasn't a big man, but he carried me off that ship like a man being chased by Lucifer himself. Even as he ran with his burden down the slippery slope, big cracks started to appear under his feet. At times he had to jump across widening crevasses. As he got closer to the chaser, Fred and Snorri jumped over the side and helped him get me on board, and then unceremoniously dumped me on the steel deck. I was just regaining consciousness while they unmoored the ship. Tom started up the engines, and we pulled away from the ice. Still dazed, I stood up and looked out over the rails at the awesome sight. The ice had parted completely across the width of the berg, and the Viking ship was perched a few feet above the water, tilting towards it as though ready to be launched. I stared, transfixed, for what seemed like an hour. Then I turned and ran to the wheelhouse.
Skipper, please let me have your camera before it's too late.
Get out of my sight, boy. What do you think you are, Gladdy Torrance?
Please, this is important.
Down below with you! You hear me, boy?
I turned away from the wheelhouse and looked out across the chill water. From the corner of my eye, I could see Fred, Snorri, and Tom Brewer looking out over the rail, too. Slowly, the Viking ship slipped forward from its icy perch, and gathering momentum, it fell and hit the water. I held my breath as it floated, proud as it had 1,000 years ago, its tattered sail hanging limply. To my horror, I saw it settle lower in the water, and the bow suddenly rose up, and the whole ship gently and soundlessly slid out of sight below the icy sea. I continued to stare until Tom came up and slapped me on the back.
Well, Al, you've come out of your trance. Would it have been worth dying for?
No, not worth dying for, but...
It's not uncommon, you know. Plenty of ships, even modern ones, have been trapped in the ice before now. They come to the same end. I remember one time a couple of years ago...
You don't understand, do you, Tom?
Huh?
This one was different.
Different? What way?
Did you see the faces of those men and women? The ones huddled together in the middle where I was standing when you came aboard.
Sorry, kid. I was only interested in getting you off there. Well, what about them?
They were Indians, American Indians, not Eskimos. I looked closely at their dress under the fur capes.
Well, what about it? So they were Indians.
Don't you see, Tom? If we could have preserved that ship or at least taken photographs, we could have proved that it was the Vikings who discovered America, not Columbus.
Who cares who found America? Does it make any difference?
There's a lot of people who'd like to know the truth, Tom. And you didn't even stop to look.
the Indians had come from, by their dress. They were Tuscaroras, who had once lived in the area now known as New York. But though I knew this to be true, making others believe me was a different matter. I was laughed at and told I was a charlatan trying to make a name for myself. In the end, I gave up. And this is the first time in 50 years I've told the story.
Adventure is produced by Anne Freed and directed by Henry Diffenthal.